Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think there is a clear deadlock in this debate. Exactly what should we prioritize from both sides? But I want to remind everyone right now that this debate isn't just about employees or consumers. It's more than that. It's about how, in the grand scheme of things, what was the impact of Silicon Valley culture and was it actually worth regretting or not? This is the heart of the debate, which brings me to a few standards. Number one, which side better caters to the longevity of these corporations on all levels, which is crucial in the round because both benches align on the fact that the more we can ensure the economic security of the company, the better. The only difference then is the way we want to pursue it. So both sides need to prove why SVC improves or harms this longevity. First standard. Second standard is which side better benefits the three key stakeholders in this round. Number one, corporations on all levels. Number two, entrepreneurs. And number three, employees. Which leads me to some rebuttals from the other side. A lot of what government says is assertive and jumps the gun on large multinational corporations. We can't just think about sustainability if we're still trying to go to market and have a chance to distribute goods and services to consumers. Leader of opposition already told you how innovation needs to be iterative. This means that you of course won't have a perfect and good product or service at the start. This means that when you are a startup that is bootstrapped, your main goal is profitability first. This is exactly where we need to reduce costs and not be worried about having to comply with so many bureaucratic nuances right away. On our side, we lower the barrier of entry for startups that actually fulfill better innovation through meritocracy. This is better mechanized by opposition. Now, in terms of larger multinational corporations, we're able to push them to make the necessary changes to make processes quicker and faster. A lot of big companies only think they're working smart, but in reality, it's just an illusion of effectiveness. This is precisely why employee turnover is so high in these big companies. People don't feel empowered. People get burned out by bad processes. People aren't heard and are unable to make their good ideas come to fruition. That's exactly why people choose to work in a startup as opposed to a big company. So why the Silicon Valley culture? So what Silicon Valley culture does at its best is that it helps startups and proliferates this culture to the world and all other businesses. Furthermore, guys, I don't think government read the full Infoslide because this motion wasn't this house would abolish all laws in the workplace. This debate is about bureaucratic processes. What this looks like in having to wear a dress code, having multiple and oftentimes redundant layers of approval, and all the other things that come with traditional corporations. We bite the bullet that decisions will be faster on our side, but less unsure. But that's a trade-off that my leader of opposition and deputy already said we're willing to take because of all the benefits that come from it. Another thing is that government whip tells us that we need bureaucracy for innovation. But we reject that premise and tell you that corporations, like what he said, are fueled by money. Innovation takes money, and that's exactly why corporations reject a lot of good ideas all the time, because they have no budget or sense of urgency. On government side, they don't get the pushback because they have iterations. Apple perfected the iPhone precisely because they empowered their workers and gave them the slack and freedom in order to innovate the best features, as opposed to what incumbents like Nokia and BlackBerry did, which were stick to their old ways, that insisted that these processes worked. That's why those companies are now bankrupt and faded to oblivion. Whether you're a startup or a large corporation, you need speed to get to the market, and you need to listen to people on the grassroots. These people are the salesmen on the grounds, or the very developers working on these apps and technologies. I think the main issue with government is that they're just short-sighted. Their understanding of employees as stakeholders is incredibly robotic, assuming that these people are capable of innovation, even though there are so many boundaries between them and innovation. The entire bureaucratic system gets in the way of actually creating things that will benefit them and other people in the long run. So let's dive back to the standard I mentioned at the beginning of my speech. Which side better benefits and caters to the longevity of these corporations on all levels, and which side better benefits the key stakeholders in this round? So the only side that was able to provide and fulfill these standards is our side. Why? Firstly, my leader of opposition proved that corporations, both startup and then multinational corporations from my DLO, they proved that this benefit is only achieved through Silicon Valley culture because it incentivizes employees to greater contribute because bigger contributions equate to bigger rewards, which you don't get from the other side. The only incentive they have from the other side is bureaucratic processes, which creates more barriers to fulfill, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I'll get to that later in my speech. This point already fulfills both standards I mentioned at the beginning, but let's go on. And secondly, and related to the first point, employees have the incentive to actually make good ideas without being shut down by the bureaucracy or by corporate higher-ups. Our side champions autonomy because autonomy creates a meritocratic incentive structure built on rewards. A system, my deputy proved to you, motivates employees and entrepreneurs to do more for the sake of getting better results. That's a system that you don't get from government side because at the very, very best, all you're getting is being shut down when you have a good idea. Or even if it is taken into consideration, there's no guarantee that you'll have a full-fledged system and full-fledged workers that will get you the quality work and output that you want. So it's in the best interest of employees, corporations, and entrepreneurs to opt into Silicon Valley culture because of the incentive structure my LO and DLO provided to you. That's an exclusive benefit you get from our side. But let's go on. What are the impacts you get from both sides? In opposition, you get a workplace that motivates and incentivizes people to actually provide and have good outputs. In government, even if we try to engage in the best case scenario of government, they don't explain why employees and entrepreneurs would want more barriers in the system of innovation, why they want more bureaucracy and requirements to fulfill just to be shut down. All these barriers continue to make them feel less fulfilled because they aren't getting enough for contributing. So for all those reasons, I have to ask, why would the stakeholders side with government if all the benefits they claim on their side are backwards? So for all those reasons and more, proud to oppose.